All right, perfect.
Are we still in practice session?
We are now live. As attendees come in, we can just let them in the room. And then once everyone's in, we're good to go.
Would anyone like to sing, perhaps?
An introductory song as everyone waits.
Well, we would like them to stay, so no.
Okay.
No.
We'll just give everyone another minute.
How many companies do we have showing up today?
4, I believe.
4?
Mhm. Alrighty, we have 4 attendees in, so I guess we'll begin this, huh?
Good.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mass NDP Frontline Supervisor Training Info Session. We have a few panelists today. We have Ron Giard, our Business Development Advisor, Lisa Derby-Odin, our Project Development Manager, Joe Simeo, our Project Manager, all from Mass NDP. We also have with us today 3 guests who are currently enrolled in this program, Gary Seidlick, Jegsy Sanchez, and Janine Kappa, who will all be introduced more in depth once we begin this presentation. I'm Emma Mailman. I'm a marketing coordinator here at Mass MEP, and I'll be your moderator for this webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And as you can see, we are in a webinar format, so everyone's mics are muted, but there are plenty of ways for you guys to still engage with us this morning. We have a Q&A and chat section. You can note where those are right on that bottom bar of your Zoom window. Please use this chat option to chat amongst yourselves. As it is also an area that will allow a variety of you to share questions, thoughts, and ideas. The Q&A is open. We'll be actively answering questions throughout the webinar. We do have an hour set aside for this today, as we feel that is plenty of time for the content and Q&A. To be respectful of our panelists and your time, if we do begin to run over, we will end this webinar as scheduled, but we'll address your questions through the email addresses that you guys have provided to us. This webinar is also being streamed on the Mass MEP Facebook Live channel, and it will be available on our Facebook page after this webinar concludes. So if you feel that someone would benefit from this that maybe wasn't able to attend, you can send them to the Mass MEP YouTube page under videos. It'll be saved there, as well as our Facebook page. You will see a poll released at the very start of this as well. If you could just please take the time to answer that question, it'd be greatly appreciated. And there will also be one at the very end. So without further ado, let's begin the Frontline Supervisor Training Info Session. And I will hand this over to Ron.
Thank you, Emma. Good morning, everyone. As Emma said, my role is as a business development advisor, and the objective today is to, well, my objective today is to give you a good, provide you a good overview of the Frontline Supervisor program. And as Emma said, you're going to hear from some current participants, which obviously that's the best selling we can do, is to have participants that are currently participating in the program and giving you some insight as to what value the training is bringing to their organization. Lastly, you'll also hear from, well, in addition, you'll hear from Joe Simeo, who is one of our lead trainers for the Frontline Supervisor. And the final element will be to give you a little background on the grant funding options that are available through the Mass MEP for this training, as well as other trainings that might be of interest to you. A little background on Mass MEP. We're a nonprofit organization, and our mission in life is to support Massachusetts manufacturing companies. And we are funded through NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, as well as some funding through the state of Massachusetts. So as a result of that, NIST likes to do surveys with companies that we engage with. So as we work with companies, either through info sessions, webinars, and actual grant funding work. They'll do a survey with the companies, and really that's the scorecard on how well we are doing. And every year we get funding through NIST, and a lot of that funding is a result of really the impacts or the value that this training is bringing to the companies that we work with. So I just want you to be aware of that in the future. Our work is really critiqued by you, and feedback is provided to NIST to say we're providing that value. So as I touched on, we're a nonprofit organization, and we truly believe that, you know, the value that we can bring to companies is through not just training, but also through implementation. So whether we're doing a value stream map or a Kaizen event, we don't just do the training aspect. We truly believe in actually getting in and getting our hands dirty and working with you. But regarding the frontline supervisor, the big thing that we've identified through a lot of our interactions with companies is that middle level manager, right? That frontline supervisor is a great opportunity for companies to really improve their process, become more profitable, and the competitive advantages are numerous once you have a good level of management in place. So part of that, again, is pulling the knowledge those people have and then working with them to implement you know, the changes that might be needed within the organization. You can move ahead, Emma. Again, I touched on a variety of services that we provide, and some of them I'll touch on here again as ISO certification, lean assessments, plant layouts, basic skills, team building, and leadership training. So we really have three buckets that we look at: is operational excellence, which is really how can you look at your operation and become more efficient? How can you become more productive and profitable? The second bucket is workforce strategies. And really this frontline supervisor touches in this bucket. It's how can we make our people more effective? And so we do a lot around supporting organizations with this type of work. And then the third bucket is innovative growth solutions, is, you know, what's next for manufacturing? Industry 4.0 is the big term today that is used, and under that umbrella would be robotics, 3D printing. It could be cybersecurity, which is a big concern. So we're always looking at what is next for companies to improve their process, possibly through automation. All set, Emma? So we really want to touch on the objective of this webinar is to talk about the training. What is the need for this training? I've come from manufacturing about 35 years, and I would say one of my biggest challenges throughout all those 35 years was finding in providing the support to those individuals that are out on the front line, hence the frontline supervisor. They're dealing with the daily issues, numerous issues that they sometimes just are not equipped for, and they were put in those positions. So it's really that great operator whose next step is potentially to become a supervisor. And so you take a great operator and you make him or her a supervisor. And if you don't give them the support and the training, the ongoing training they need, they become frustrated. And you lose a great operator, and then you get a supervisor who's somewhat frustrated and not as effective as they could be. And some of those qualifications, you know, that we look at is, as I said, a great operator, because they got a great work ethic and they have great knowledge of the process. And boy, that's having those talents, right? Those skills going into a supervisor role is excellent. But if that's all you're counting on, they will become very frustrated with becoming a supervisor. So as I touched, you can see from the picture here, help is most frontline supervisors that we have worked for over the years have become frustrated in their jobs. Largely, this frustration is caused by not fully understanding what is expected of them, or really not having the skill set or the training or the support that they need as they move ahead in this role. So when we look at the aspects, I'm going to touch on the two aspects of successful supervision. We look at knowledge and we look at skills as we developed this program. And again, as I alluded to on the prior slides, is a lot of good supervisors, internal supervisors, machine operators, they could be QA people, they could come from different departments of your organization. They usually come with a lot of knowledge about the process, and they're very good at that. So they know and understand the work, and they understand the responsibilities of their current roles. The other aspect is the skills, and that's really what we touch on, is how can we help improve their methods on how they do the job. The next is the leading. How do they lead people? And then the third element is the training. And Joe Sameo is going to touch on these areas as he's talking about the more specifics on the modules of the training. So really, this was the basis for our frontline supervisor training program. So the purpose of this training, the frontline supervisor, is to develop and create to meet the needs of manufacturing frontline supervisors. We developed it to build the needed knowledge and skills that are too often neglected by most supervisory training. So there's a lot of programs out there. And again, there are good programs and there are mediocre programs. What we looked at is what could we take and build a program that we felt would be effective and long lasting. So as we get into the more of the specifics here, this program is a commitment. It's over a period of a year, and we felt that to be most effective because it provides them the opportunity to use the skills that they learn from the training and then come back and get feedback and talk about it. So we felt that was very important. And then each training element and each module is designed to build on the previous element. So it's not just giving you a lot of information and say, here you go. There's some methodology behind it to build on the elements as you go through it. And I think the t-shirt, if you could go back there, Emma, the t-shirt kind of speaks volumes on what a lot of times we expect supervisors to be as miracle workers. And really what we want is a really good and effective frontline supervisor. Thank you. So I touched on the overview of the, again, I'll touch on the overview of the training, excuse me, in the three modules. That it's broken into three modules: leadership, which is 52 hours, and then manufacturing principles, which will be a total of 44 hours, and then problem solving. Because it's great to have the knowledge, but we often see, whether it's frontline supervisor or a good machine operator or anyone in an organization, having problem solving skills is a very effective tool to be able to have to educate and train the people that report to you. So we touched on that in the last module and spent quite a bit of time. Competency-based skills. I touched on this last element here. Competency-based skills. Managers and trainers will evaluate progress and determine level of competence achieved throughout the apprenticeship period. So this is an apprenticeship program, and I don't think I highlighted that in the beginning, but this is a recognized program that you would sign up for, And it is competency based. So as you're going through this, they're going to be tested, and you're going to have the people available to you, even during the non-training hours, that if you have questions, you can reach out to the actual provider or the trainer if you have questions. So it's really to build that competency into the individual that we're doing the training with. Thank you, Emma. So the nuts and bolts, 35 classes in total. It's delivered over the course of 1 year. So, and there will be pre-class work or prep work, not a lot. And Joe will touch on that. He'll give you some insight as to what that looks like. I think what's important for the people listening today is, because you hear a year, and it's a long-term commitment. So we want you to know that going into it. But what it looks like on a monthly basis is there's 3 classes a month. It's all virtual. They're 4 hours each. And typically the first 3 weeks of the month they are held, and we hold a 4th one in case something happens and they have to reschedule. But we typically go the first 3 weeks, 4 hours each week, same time, same day each week, all virtual. So at this moment, I think it's going to be most effective that you hear from some of the current participants in the program. And I'm going to turn it over to Joe Sameo, who is one of our lead trainers right now, and for a quick introduction, and then we'll come back and talk about, Joe will talk more in detail on the modules, and then we'll finish up at the end with grant work. And feel at any time, if you have any questions as you're going through, please use the chat, and we'll take those questions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
Thank you, Ron. So we have 2 students that are currently in the frontline supervisor training. I believe they've possibly been through the first 2 modules, and we're going to have them give us some of their insight of what types of things are they taking from their classes. We have Jexy Sanchez from Mark Forge and Janine Kappa from Precise Tuning and Manufacturing. They're going to share some of their experiences of participating in the classes. Jexy, do you want to start?
Sure. Hey there, everyone. So I'm Jexy Sanchez. I'm from Mark Forge. I started off as a machine operator, and I worked my way up to a quality technician. The company has put me in this class to learn different tools and strategies so I could become a better employee as I climb up the ladder. This class has taught me a lot of good strategies and a lot of good tools that were very valuable to me, that kind of changed my way of thinking, changed my way of interacting with employees, and changed my way on how to do certain things, problem solve and stuff like that. I learned how to create a visual management shelf to control more of my work. So my bosses and stuff can see where any work-related material status is at. I learned some patience in this class, I can say. The class taught me how to work well with my peers around me. I was struggling to train an employee I have in my department, and with the tools and strategies that this class has taught me and has provided, it completely turned everything around. I was able to recognize her strong suits, and I was able to put that in effect. And it helped me learn more about her as a person, inside of work, outside of work. It helped me learn more about what she can do and what she is capable of doing. And, everything's just been a great turnout so far. She has learned so much, and like I said, I was struggling with her at first. But with the strategies and the tools that the class teaches you, like the 4 M's, the 5 Y's, the 6 Sigma, And the Gemba walks is it's a huge one for me. I actually implemented that in my department to help out with the coworker that I'm currently speaking about. And she does her gamble walks, and we made things better for her. And we work smarter by using the strategies and the tools that this class has taught me. It has made my work very easy to do, and it has made everything more organized and clear to see. Everything has just been so focused with the tools and the strategies that the supervisor training class has provided me with. And with taking those strategies and those tools and implementing it in the department that I run, it has allowed more room for me to grow in the company, not only for myself, but as well as for my coworker that I work with. I practically run the quality department here, and I'm gonna be stepping up to do more engineering work, which is gonna allow for my coworker that I was struggling with in the beginning when she started, it's gonna allow her to move up as well, another level. And she's gonna be able to take over the majority of the stuff that I'm in charge of doing now. And that's gonna open up more time for myself to do more, graded level work for engineering and different departments and stuff. And yeah, like I said, everything in the class has been great. I had such a big turnout, receiving materials, tooling, strategies, systems. Everything just been working out great. The visual management stuff that I have, that I implemented in my department that I got off this class has really been huge and successful in my department. I use it, my coworkers use it. We use it for chemicals. We use it for work status. We use it for Kanban boards. You can use it for a whole different types of section and varieties of departments, wherever it is that you work at. Mass MEP does provide that. They have made me more confident. Ever since I have started, they've made me more aware of what to do and what not to do, who to go to and who not to go to, and what steps to take on certain situations and scenarios. Because not every bad situation is an actual bad situation. And I have learned that because of the Mass MEP class. They've taught me how to create desire for the employees and, acknowledge employees for, the little stuff, not necessarily always for the big work, because even the little people count. Nobody can be left out. Mass MEP has taught me a lot about culture. It's taught me a lot about how to interact with people and just how to gain knowledge and, show knowledge to others and step back and seeing how, all of the work instructions work. Do the work instructions work? Is there gaps in the work instructions? Can we make things better? How do we do that? Well, 5 whys. You ask why. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And then eventually you'll come up to a resolution where it's gonna conclude, it's gonna lead you to the gap. And you're gonna be able to fill in that gap and say, this is the gap, this is where messed up, and this is where we need to take matters into our own hands. It can be training, it can be knowledge, or it can be as little as, small kinks with equipment or operators or setups. And like I said, I learned that from Mass MEP. And that was with the 4 M's: machine, method, material, man. You take these strategies that Mass MEP provides you, like the 4 M's, and you step back and you look at your work environment and say, okay, something's not working right. We have too much scrap coming out. How can we make that better? Is it the machine? Is it the method? Is it the man? Like, what is it? And there's a lot of tools and strategies that the Mass MEP really provides that actually works. And not only at work, it also works outside of work. So for your everyday life, sometimes you might not know what is keeping you down, and you might need a small smile from your daughter or something to turn that around, and that will just create desire for you to do better and push yourself more. And it's little stuff like that that you don't realize on an everyday, day-to-day basis when you're coming into work and you're so worried about work. The Mass MEP actually gives you the strategies and the tools where you can actually step back and say, okay, I can actually do this. If I implement these tools in my work area, I can also implement them on my everyday lifestyle. And you will see things will change, and your attitude will change, your workload will change, everything will become better, because ever since I started this class, it definitely has for me. And with that happening, it's going to come with rewards. You're going to move up in levels. Bosses are going to start taking notice of you, and it's going to push you towards success. That's all that it's going to do. It has pushed me to success. And I'm happy to say that, after this class, I'll be taking more classes to push my advancement because of what this class has been able to do for me.
That was very well said, Jegsy.
Thank you.
Janine, do you want to tell us about your experience with the frontline supervisor training?
Yeah, I feel just the same way Jegsy does. It was very positive. It's been very positive for me. Like I said, not only in my professional career, but also in my personal life. I've been with Precise Turning now for a while. It's been a few years, and I'm the office manager. And I started off out of the trade school and basically worked my way up and had the desire to learn, and started doing more of like office management stuff, and then got into quality assurance. And then I feel like it's so instrumental to have support from the owner of the company, and to see that, it's very important to have that growth in your employees. But it also was, for me, it was like I was in a comfort zone a little bit, not sure, knowing that I wanted to get more into the management level, but a little hesitant, feeling like I wasn't quite sure how I was going to go about it. But when this class came, I felt like it was the perfect timing for me. They say, it's like, the teachers will come when the student's ready to learn. And I felt like I was ready to learn, get out of the comfort zone and get into the learning zone. And once I started to do that with this class, it has changed my mindset. It's given me the building blocks that I need to implement change and make sure that change becomes successful within the company. We have so many goals and visions, that we all have, whether it's within our job or within ourselves. And it's always good to have those building blocks to get through it, to make change more easy. I feel like change can be very, very overwhelming to a lot of people. And so seeing things now more from a manager's point of view, I can see that there is a lot of building blocks needed for change. And having that makes me feel confident and trust in myself that I can implement change and make the work environment better and continuously improve. And it's getting me excited. Like, this class has got me very excited for change, and looking at it in a different mindset and being open-minded. And like Jegsy was saying, also encouraging the other employees that I work with and keeping myself motivated and feeling like we can all do this together and work together as a team to be very successful personally within ourselves and have that personal growth, because I feel like it starts there first. Like, for me, the change has come from me first. And then I feel like when I model that good behavior and I model these things that I've learned, then everyone else will see it, and I'll be able to, maybe get less pushback and resistance with the change, and people will be more positive about it and rather being negative about it. If they see that change is a good thing, and it's more about, we need this moving forward in today's world. I feel like it's really important to keep growing and learning. So for me, it's been of great value, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing this class, and I really enjoyed the hands-on that we do. At first, I was a little hesitant. I'm like, a whole year, being a mother of 2 small children, I thought, how am I going to do this? But like I said, it's very instrumental to have support, and I've had that support, and it's helped me to feel like I can grow, and having that desire to do so and gaining this knowledge, I just feel like a completely like different person, and I feel like it's really helped me a lot. And like Jegsy was saying, once you start realizing you're learning and growing, you just want to keep that momentum going. And it's been so rewarding for me. And personally at home, I have a teenager daughter. So it's like, there's a lot of change going on there. So I feel like I said, this class has been perfect timing with realizing that change needs to be made. And when you come to that realization and you have the goals and the visions and the building blocks, you feel like you can do it. You can go for it. And you're basically in that mindset to keep going. And I'm just, really excited about this class. I feel like it's been a good decision on my part to take this class. And I feel like already I've been implementing some changes, and it's been successful. And I'm very much like gonna stay committed to it. Like they were saying, it's commitment, but it's definitely rewarding in the end. That I can definitely see that as I continue on with this class. So I encourage, anyone who's a little hesitant to take this class. It'll definitely open your mind and change the way you view things. And it may be some aha moments like, I already was thinking that, or it might give you some, I wasn't thinking that. And it's great because everyone in the class, we're all learning from each other. So the instructors, they bring so much to the table, but we also learn from each other. And it's been so helpful for me to just see it from other people's point of views. I'm very excited for this class and to continue taking it.
I'm glad you said that, Janine. That's one thing we sometimes forget about. Yes, you have all the information that you're getting from the class, but the interaction with the students, learning from each other and sharing ideas is also pretty big. I'm glad you said that. It's an important part of this. Ron, back to you.
Thanks, Joe. Joe, so just a couple things I want to touch on. I want to thank Jegsy and Janine. You guys have done an excellent job in highlighting some of the things that I couldn't say, right? Because you guys have lived through it. So some of the things that I heard from Jegsy, for instance, was that it's not only made him more effective, it's made him allow his people to be more effective. So he's actually coaching at the same time as he's learning. So it just takes off from there. So great things. And Janine, you touched on it. It's providing you the tools and be open-minded, right? So go into this with an open mind, and you're learning these tools that are not only effective at work, but possibly at home as you're raising kids, because there's not a lot of magic here. It's just a lot of basic stuff that you don't always see unless you're talking about it. So thank you for your time on that. And the last part that I heard as well is the consortium. A lot of value in the consortium-based training, because you're participating with other companies and you're quickly realizing that, boy, there are other companies out there that are having the same issues as we're having. So that brings a lot of value. So with that, Joe, I'm going to actually kick it back over to you, and maybe you can talk about, the different modules on real high level, what you are teaching in those modules.
Sure. So as Ron had stated earlier, we have 3 modules. The first one being leadership skills, second one being manufacturing, and the third one being problem solving. In leadership skills, we touch a lot of the soft skills, communication, relationships, how to motivate some of the people that are working for you, how to delegate some of the work. A lot of these supervisors are young supervisors, and they're still holding on to bits and pieces of their previous job, and they have a hard time delegating some of the work down so that they can get their supervising job done. We also touch on the 876 method of onboarding. With so many new people coming in, so many new employees in companies, onboarding is a challenge. So the 876 method is, what do they need to know for the first 8 hours? What do they need to know the first 7 days. And what do they need to know the first 6 weeks? So it's a skill and it's a process that really helps them to onboard properly and make sure that they have good employees. We go over a lot of safety training. There's some team building exercises that they do also. There's a couple of classes on team building and leadership skills. Talking about skills matrix, we have them, or we work with them to develop a skills matrix for the employees working under them, and also helps them to do some cross training. So these skills matrix are a very important part of this first leadership skills module. Next one, Emma. So module 2 is manufacturing principles. And if they've been around manufacturing long enough, they know of some of these skills. They have some of these skills. But by talking about it and taking some different points of views, they're able to kind of refine some of the skills they have, if they have them. If not, we will teach them some of these manufacturing principles and try to give them some of these skills. Understanding cost and capacity. A lot of times, if you're a young supervisor, you're really not thinking about the cost and the capacity and the demand of your customers. So we have simulations and we have a lot of homework that they have. Well, not a lot of homework, but there's a few pre-class work that we give them. We try to make it simple enough so they don't spend a lot of time having to do it. There's readings and discussions that we will have during class, especially on some of the cost, capacity, and demand of production planning. There's another thing that we have a lot of discussions. How do you plan your production? Inventory management. Supply chains are a challenge for everybody right now. So how we handle our inventory is extremely important. Standard work training. How are we training our people on the floor? Writing work instructions. How are you documenting your training? Are you able to train somebody and then write the instructions so that you can use this for some more training? Developing instruction on the shop floor. How are we teaching our shop floor people how to do their job? In the old days, it used to just be, there's the machine, go over there, you're gonna do your job. We can't do that anymore. There's so many new employees coming in each and every day. We need to really have a good process to write good work instructions and train these people on the floor so they become effective employees. We also work on more safety. We discuss more safety during module 2. Machine maintenance. Our equipment is a very big, important part of any company. The more machines you have, the more important it is to have machine maintenance and preventive maintenance. So we give them a quick overview of what that means to a company. We cover OEE also, overall equipment effectiveness. So if you're looking for a machine that you think possibly may have a problem, how do you decide if this machine is running effectively or not? We teach them how to do OEE studies so that they can see that if a machine is effective or not, or if it needs some attention. We also work with developing your people and developing lean champions. Every company is going to need some lean champions to help to move forward. So developing some of your supervisors into lean champions to help you move forward in your lean processes. So module 3 is problem solving, and every company could use a team of problem solvers. Some of the things that we teach these supervisors, and we work with them on doing PDCA, plan, do, check, act. Any operation that you perform, you're always going to have a plan. You need to go out and do it, but we always forget about the coming back and checking it and adjusting it. So we really try to drive some of these points, the PDCA process, so that they understand once you've completed something, you're just done with it. You want to come back and you check it, make sure that the process is working properly. And if it is not, you can adjust it. We touch on some lean basics, 5S, visual work areas, problem solving tools. We have kata. We will cover kata, which is a scientific method and usually a one-person method of improving problem solving. And we also cover tips, which is more of a team involved process of problem solving. Quality at the source, which is extremely important for a lot of companies. Some companies have a quality department, but if we can get quality at the source, it makes the supervisor's life a lot easier. You're able to catch your problems before they make it all the way downstream. Balanced workflow. It's not always easy to see where your bottlenecks are in a process. And we're able to work with some of the supervisors to understand where your bottlenecks would be and how to correctly balance a work line or work cell. We also are preparing them with these 3 modules for the last class, which would be a presentation to management and graduation. So during these 3 modules, we will ask the students to pick a topic, pick a problem that they have in their company that they feel that they can improve. And they can create a presentation to their managers explaining what tools they used throughout this training and what improvements they made on the operation or the machine, or even just how they're handling people. And then obviously you have a celebration at the end. There's their graduation, but we all get to cheer them on. So is Gary Seidlich here? I can't see him. I see.
Yep, I just came back. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's quite all right. Thank you, Gary. I want to welcome Gary Seidlich from Precise Turning and Manufacturing. And he is a owner of Precise Turning. And he's going to share some of his thoughts about the class and having some of his workers in our class.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I own a small machine shop, and over the years we've used some of the training programs from the Mass MEP, so we knew the quality of the training, number one, was going to be was top notch. And when this program came across probably over a year ago now, I'm in a position in my business that we're trying to grow the business, and I'm trying to get people in a little better management type position. And then I looked at the outline of this program and said, boy, this hits on all the buzzwords and everything that I know and apply in my business on a daily basis, and as we grow the business. So I had Janine look at it, and we had the discussion, as she said earlier. She was talking about advancing herself and what we can do and what she could do, and this turned out to be a real good program for us. And halfway through it or so we are now, it appears to be even better than we thought it was going to be, at least in my eyes. Janine has been an excellent employee, been with me for many years, has grown with the company. I've seen the company grow and go through different things in different stages, but now she appreciates, and I think she understands some of the dilemmas and the issues that we run into, and how to try to grow the business. She's kind of transitioning from just an employee of the company to, like I said, a manager of the company, and understanding the managing and how to handle people and things of that nature. And again, this program has given her the knowledge of that. They've explained it to her, and they've provided her with the tools. In the short time she's been doing it, I've asked her to take and start using the tools, and she has. And some of the areas that she's used it in is dealing with some of the employees and helping to develop the company and helping me to just do some of the management stuff and understanding what I do. And the transition has been remarkable, and very satisfied with it. And I would highly recommend anybody that's considering having anybody get some management skills to take this program. Touches on a lot of stuff, and doesn't go maybe heavy in depth into everything, but certainly familiarizes them with all the different things that we get involved in on a daily basis that as a employee, they would not understand what management does on a daily basis behind the scenes, so to speak, and the trials and tribulations that we run into, and things of that nature. So if anybody have any questions or anything, I'd certainly be interested and be happy to answer any direct questions pertaining to this program.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you, Joe and Gary. Why don't we, Joe, do you want to touch on this one here?
Yes, this is
Just real
the,
quick.
this would be our Moodle. We talked about there is some pre-class work. It's usually no more than an hour's worth of pre-class work. Could be some reading. It could be an assignment. We ask them to go to the floor and watch and document what they see. We could ask them to just go and make some small improvements out on their shop floor or their work area. And Moodle would be where they would sign in, they would get their pre-class assignment. They can put their homework right on Moodle so that we will see it. And it also provides them with the previous class presentation if they wanted to go back and look at it and just kind of review it, or just something that they wanted to try out on the floor, they can go back, review it, make sure they're comfortable with it before they move back. And before we would start, they would get some training on Moodle so they're comfortable with it also.
All right, thank you, Joe. And again, I want to thank Gary again for giving his perspective from an owner's standpoint, and it brings value, and we'll continue to obviously get good responses, and we're getting a lot of good responses from the training that we have underway. So I want to briefly touch, I want to be sensitive of time here. I want to touch on the grant funding to give you an idea on this particular program. So this is a consortium-based program, which means that Mass MEP applies for this funding. So we saw a need in the market for this type of training. So Mass MEP applies to the Workforce Training Fund for the monies to do this training at no cost to the participants. So when I say no cost, I mean there's no upfront cost. The cost is your people's time. And again, it is a commitment. It's over a year's period, but we really feel we feel very passionate that it being done over a period of time provides the participants the opportunities to actually do it and try it out and come back and talk to Joe and the other trainers to make them more effective. So there's a lot to cover in this program. So the consortium, again, would be no cost, allows no cost upfront to the participants. The other part, which I touched on as well, is you're actually taking this course with people from other companies. And that has been a big value to the company, because they're able to then, number one, meet other people, see that they alone don't have these issues, that a lot of companies have the same issues, and maybe make friends along the way and colleagues, and they'll be able to work with them and reach out to them in the future if they have some needs that they want to work together. So to give you an idea, the overall cost would be, if we're paying out of pocket, would be $4,800 per participant. And given the fact that it's consortium based, that goes away and you don't have to pay that up front. The other part of the, so I'll just move on at this point, Emma, because I want to just stay focused on the frontline supervisor. Because you can actually apply for this. I should say you can apply for this through an express grant and or a general grant if you want to do it in-house and you have at least 10 to 12 participants, and you can commit to that period of time and taking people off the floor. But the consortium seems to be the best answer, because when we set up a consortium, we usually set it up with a number of cohorts. So on this first session that we set up, or the first consortium, we had 5 different cohorts with about 10 people in each. So there's an opportunity to put, if you have multiple people you want to send to the trainings, you can put them in different cohorts so they're not off the floor at the same time, which has been one of the concerns with a lot of companies, especially over the past year and a half with COVID and just trying to find employees. So the consortium is a good option. The other part of the value, I would say, to a company, given the fact that this is an apprenticeship program, is that you can get tax credits. In addition to not having to pay the $4,800, you can register for a apprenticeship tax credit of $4,800 after the training is completed. And you'd have to sign into an agreement with Mass MEP for the apprenticeship program, because it's a recognized program, and then just keep track of everything. And so there's value on the back end as well of a potential tax credit. And if you want to learn more about that, you can reach out. We'll give you information at the end as to who you can reach out to, both myself and Lisa Oden. We can give you more information on that. So I'll move on there. So we'll talk about, in the beginning, I said, I wanted to touch on providing you enough information on the program and what it looks like. And hopefully we did that. And hopefully with all of the other information that's been provided, this is what we're seeing as value to the companies that are participating, and hopefully will in the future. More engaged, better employees that drive productivity. And again, there's nothing more I can say that Jegsy and Janine and Gary did not cover. So I'll move on to number 2. No direct cost for the classes, which we just discussed. All of this money is through the Workforce Training Fund. And then lastly, which again, I just touched on, was the apprentice tax credit per employee if you participate in this program. Next steps. So are you interested? If you are, let us know. So you can reach out to us and say, yep, I definitely want to get more information, or I'm ready to commit. And what we would ask you to do is would send you a letter of participation or intent. And you have to have a certificate of good standing. So if you worked with Mass MEP in the past on any grant, you know that you have to ask the state for a certificate of good standing, that your taxes are paid and you're in good standing with the state. And if you are, then you're in good standing with us, and you can participate in the program. So that would be the next step. We are, to give you some idea, we've been getting great response to the program. We started our first consortium this past March. That'll go for a year. We are starting our second consortium in the beginning of November. And the plan is ideally to maybe start every 6 months or so, because as one is finishing, we would start another consortium and probably have anywhere between 8 to 10 cohorts going at any one time. So the next one after this November one, which is already booked, we're looking at starting probably in the April or May timeframe of 2022. And then beyond that, you can anticipate maybe 6 months. So these are not just sign up and go. We got to get your interest and sign this letter and get a certificate of good standing and get you on the list. Again, the number 3 is just some of the detail, right? There'll be an application questionnaire, which we will walk you through any questions you have as you're filling that out, we'll be more than happy to work with you. We have on staff grant writers, and Lisa Oden, who's on this webinar as well, is one of them, and she will walk you through and answer any questions that you might have after. And I guess we have a poll question. So if you could answer the poll question as you're doing that, our last slide is just contact information. You can reach out to MassMEP at massmep.org. We'll be more than happy to follow up directly with you. You know, as I listened, as I have gone through this, the one thing that struck me was, you know, whenever you take on a new role, you know, you got to learn. There's just ongoing education, no matter what you're doing, at what level of your career, at what level of life. And I've experienced firsthand the frontline supervisor. Again, you take a great operator, you make him or her a supervisor, and you expect them to know what to do. And that's just not the case. And a lot of people get frustrated at that point. So I think that was really the driver behind this program that we put together, is can we put together a program that we feel will help build that part of your organization. And then they in turn will do a lot of the work that needs to be done in growing other people within your organization. So with that, any other items, Emma, that we need to cover?
I was just going to remind everyone again that since this was recorded live, if there is someone that wasn't able to attend today that you think would benefit from this, you can absolutely guide them to our Facebook page, which is just Mass MEP. It's incredibly easy to find. Our logo is behind me. It's the same logo on our Facebook. So definitely highly encourage everyone to guide everyone there. And I also wanted to thank everyone who attended and our panelists just for taking the time today for this. And I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janine. Great
Yeah,
job.
thank you for having me.